Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Dave's Faves in our wrap-up phase. This one is number 360. Wow, it's a lot of faves. And today I want to talk to you about Swan Lake. In bad performances, it sounds more like Swine Lake. It really does. But no, we're talking about Tchaikovsky's Le Lac des Cygnes. Swan Lake. Oh, what a beautiful ballet. It's funny. It's become like the iconic classical ballet. Mainly for the big tune, right? Da 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 bum ba da 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 do do do, which actually sounds remarkably like a tune in Wagner's Lohengrin. Did you ever notice that? Anyway, it's glorious. It was like a failure when Tchaikovsky wrote it, and for years it only existed in like Baudelarized versions. Doing a complete Swan Lake was unheard of. People only did little excerpts of it, but it is a piece of youthful enthusiasm and absolutely unbelievable lyrical abundance. The number of great tunes. Oh my God. You've got the dance of the little swanny things, do 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 boo boo boo, that little thing. It's got just billions of great tunes. I have no idea what happens in Swan Lake, by the way. I never could figure it out. You've got Siegfried, and you've got Odette, and you've got the black swan and the white swan and the green swan and the blue swan, and they're all shooting at each other, and I haven't a clue. All I know is that the plot is the same thing as The Flying Dutchman, sort of. Well, what I mean is it's got one of those transfigured ending where everybody dies, but they come together in death and everyone's happy, and I don't know. I don't care. I just listen to it for what it is, for the glorious music that Tchaikovsky wrote. Now, as far as recordings of Swan Lake go and my own personal preferences, for years and years and years, I grew up with the old Ernest Ansermet recording on Decca, which is not Tchaikovsky's original version. It's the Drigo rearrangement of it. And I didn't know any better. It's a nice, pretty performance. It's not like fabulous anyway. It was sort of scruffy and, an older recording. But that's the one that there was, and that's what I had. Then there was Dorati, of course, on Mercury Living Presence, which was great, and he finally did the whole thing. But the one that really turned me on to the piece originally was Seiji Ozawa with the Boston Symphony, simply because the playing was so refined, so elegant, but also powerful. It was just gorgeous. And I remember when it came out, there it was sitting, remember those beautiful boxes with the shiny covers, those DG boxes, and the record store was playing it, because it was a new release, and they would put it on in the store, and we would just hang out and listen to it. And I thought, whoa, this is so beautiful. So I snagged it, and it's still one of my favorites. But it's not the favorite. It's not Dave's faves, because that happened when Slatkin's recording came out on RCA with the St. Louis Symphony, and that is my fave. And it's still around in a box with the 3 Tchaikovsky ballets. It's not just that Slatkin was amazing in Russian music, which he always was and still is, but the end, just the end, that apotheosis. I never knew there was a tam-tam there. It's pow, do 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 do, pow, do 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 do, pow. I could do it. I've been doing a lot of these lately in this wrap up, but it's it's like you almost never hear it. And I understand why. It's noisy, trashy orchestration. It really is. Because you've got cymbals, bass drum, tam-tam, and a snare drum, too. God knows why you need a snare drum there. Snare drum's going, behind the whole thing. It's typical trashy ballet scoring. It's the kind of stuff that, like Aubert and those people did. Except it has a tam-tam, which they don't usually have. Tchaikovsky does, because he wants the extra sonority. And Slatkin somehow he balances all of that crazy percussion so that you can hear it while the orchestra is going crazy. And the sonics are absolutely glorious. I mean, it has basically that end with the harps going, the horns coming with wah, crash. Well, I mean, it's just transcendental. It's amazing, and the whole ballet's like that. The whole thing, soup to nuts. Just an amazing performance, totally spontaneous and impactful and thrilling. And it's my fave, Slatkin in St. Louis for Swan Lake. It's not Swine Lake. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.